Well, it's October. Decorated. Well, we're back with 6 new Arrow titles today, 4 of which are the Arrow USA variety, and 2 being of the Arrow UK variety. But don't worry, because they are region-free, meaning that if you do not have a region-free player, they will still play in your player. Now, let's get going with these 2 here. I'm going to do 2 here at once, because they are by the same director, and very much of the same cloth, even though they are not horror films. They're pretty strange films. You may recall Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Osborne. Well, this is the same director. Don't ask me to say the name because I cannot pronounce it. But it's Immortal Tales and The Beast. These are the Arrow USA titles. You can get them in the UK as well, but they are, of course, on the USA branch. So that's the ones I got. Inside Immortal Tales here, you'll see the art. And basically, this tells a story. Well, it tells more than one story. It's like an anthology of like erotic tales and whatnot, hinting on such things as incest and other noticeable immoral things. Can't show the back of the book because there's some nudity there, but here is the book, and of course inside it there is pictures, some of which I can show. Some of them I could not show, but it bounces around different time frames, different scenarios, a lot of nudity, a lot of erotic things going along. As usual with Arrow, there's a Blu-ray and a DVD. Always nice to include both in those things. This one, I don't think it was my cup of tea. I didn't really care for this one that much. I can respect the film and respect the fact that it's well done for what it is, but I'm not much on the erotic, like Emmanuel stuff and all that. I'll watch them, you know, but they're not my preferred taste. Although I do like the directors, like I said, his Dr. Jekyll, Mrs. Osborne, which is really, really good, but this wasn't like that, so this really wasn't my thing. The other one here, this is more along the lines of Dr. Jekyll, Mrs. Osborne, The Beast. It's a bit of an erotic tale as well. It's like some sort of dark remake of Beauty and the Beast, if you can believe that. It's a Blu-ray and DVD. That picture being used a lot. If I can get it in here, yeah. It's also on the DVD. Didn't take the cover out of this to show you this reverse cover, but I believe it's just the same picture with the other language for the title, which is the same with this. This one also has a book. So this woman's getting married to this guy, and it seems to be like the family's all for it because the guy appears to be loaded. And while on the honeymoon and whatnot, she fantasizes about basically doing some bestiality with the Beast, and the Beast penis is there for anybody who was wondering and wanted to know. Also, the movie, this one right here, The Beast, starts off with probably the most graphic horse porn scene you're ever going to see in your life. As horses are doing the dirty, it's showing every part of their body. Every fluid that they lose is right here in HD, thanks to Arrow Films. So if you like horse sex, this one's got it. It's also got a weird beast tail, which is very erotic as well. A lot of people sleeping around in it. Yeah, it's one of those kind of things, but it's not what you would call porn, but it's erotic nonetheless, and it looks good. They all look good in HD, but like these aren't my things here. But this one does have an alternative cut, which features a short story. I believe it features a short story that would go on to be this. So that's those first 2 as we get those out of the way. Another one here, which isn't really a horror film, is La Grande Buffet. As you can see, that's not an American film. It's not even a British film. I don't know what country this is. French. It's French. So a group of friends basically get together for the weekend to go eat themselves to death. So they all get together. They're all eating. It's really strange, really kind of kooky. It kind of reminds you in a way of a Wes Anderson type deal. It's not as stylish, but the way the characters are and their little nicks and crannies and the way they do things and the whole food thing thrown in, it reminds you a little bit of a Wes Anderson film. Of course, as they're there, women come into play, and then eventually it's just one woman, and they're kind of passing her around. Without getting too graphic, I can just say that they're passing her around. It doesn't really get graphic, but very sexual driven, very, very food driven, very strange. But it looks extremely well here in HD. I wasn't sure what to make of it when it arrived. Look at that. I've never heard of this one. Blu-ray DVD. But it's interesting. It's a fun watch. It's not a horror film, which I'm more of a horror guy, but I'm willing to watch anything that Arrow puts out. This one's a little risque, I guess, but we can get that in there. I don't want to take it out because it just gets awkward, but there's that. And it's really like a buddy film, really. Like I said, a bunch of friends, they're together and they're eating all kinds of things, and then here comes the women into play, and next thing you know, it gets a little dark comedy vibe going on. It gets a little morbid in there near the end. There's the card. It comes with this. Some of these hasn't had these with them. I don't know what's going on there with that. I guess some of them just has them and some don't, or maybe they already quit doing that. But it's worth a watch. It's a well-made film. Won't be for everybody, but nothing ever is. But it's good enough for you to check out. So with those out of the way, we'll get into the more horror portion of the Arrow update, and we'll kick it off with Eaten Alive, the old Tobe Hooper film. If I'm not mistaken, this is the one that followed Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So after Texas Chainsaw Massacre, this is what he came up with, and it's about a crazy guy with his pet alligator, and he's got like a hotel going on, and everybody keeps coming, and they keep dying. It's pretty close in tone, I guess, to Texas Chainsaw Massacre in a way. I mean, not as scary or whatnot, but you can tell it's from the same director. It's got a very young Robert Englund in it. His name's Buck, and that enables him at the start of it, when he's at a whorehouse, for lack of a better term, to use the word that rhymes with his name in a sentence that would be parodied once again with Kill Bill. Now look at that artwork. This is actually one that I would consider flipping. I think I like that better than I like that one. But sometimes I don't flip them. There's our hotel guy, our resident psycho who feeds people to the alligators. But it's kind of like it's got a bit of a psycho vibe to it in some way, because when the movie opens up, we're following this one girl, and she's working at the brothel, if you want to call it that, and it isn't her type of business, so she gets out pretty quick, and we follow her then to the hotel in question, hotel, motel, whatever you want to call it. We follow her to the hotel in question, where she meets our crazy owner, I guess you would call him, and it wouldn't be much of a spoiler to say that, like Psycho, you kind of think maybe she's the lead, but she's not. So she goes away, and that just leaves the door open for a whole bunch of really wild, wacky, and somewhat insane characters that just show up and oftentimes not end up as food for the alligator. And it's really a good movie, man. I mean, you got people hamming it up, and we got a little kid that ends up underneath the porch of the house, or the motel, and she's there probably for a lot longer than any logical, any logical time that you would think somebody would be hiding under a house from a guy with a big giant pickaxe or whatever that thing's called. Like I said, though, it is Tobe Hooper. It has Marilyn Burns. Got to mention her. She's in here, and she does a good job. Good seeing her pop in there after seeing Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And another thing about this, though, that I think everybody's going to appreciate is if you had the old, what was it, Dark Sky DVD, I think, which you can get real cheap now, but it looked terrible. Dark Sky's DVD looked awful, and this is probably one of the better cleanup jobs I've seen. This looks like $1 million, really. It looks really, really good, and that's probably the make or break for a lot of people. But if you love the movie already, I think you'll really enjoy the Blu-ray of it, because it looks really, really good. But that's Eaten Alive, and I think it had a couple of alternate titles. Eaten Alive was Death Trap, I believe. I believe Death Trap is one of them. 2K transfer, but it's good stuff. Now for the Arrow UK portion of the video. Now over here in America, as I say with a very country twang, over here in America, we had Madman from Vinegar Syndrome, which was a good release. There was nothing wrong with it. But you got this over in England, the Arrow UK version of Madman, which I'm going to go ahead and say I like this cover art better than I did the art we got with the Vinegar Syndrome title. Basically the same release. If you're going for specials, extras, whatever, it has everything that one has, only it's got a introduction that was a UK exclusive, but outside of that, basically the same release. Although I will say it's more bit rates in the transfer on this one, which I've looked this up to prove that I wasn't just crazy. There's more bit rates in the transfer. There's the original artwork in Madman and on the Arrow release, and it looks slightly better. It does. It looks slightly better. It's a very slight difference. I don't know if the grain is like more natural or what it is, but there's something about the Arrow UK version of Madman that just looks better. Which, not that this film's going to look really, really good anyway, since it's all dark and whatnot. And that's actually the art from the Vinegar Syndrome release. But you know, what can you say about Madman that really hasn't been said already? I wasn't very fond of it the first time I seen it. Although the first time I ever seen it, I was in high school and it was on old VHS tape that my uncle or somebody had, and you couldn't really see what was going on very well because it was like probably a third gen dub job, so it didn't really look that good. So when the DVD came out a few years later from Code Red, I saw that and I thought that was good. Didn't get the Anchor Bay one, which had the blue hue or whatever to it that everybody wanted. But it was a good release. I mean, Code Red, you know, it was. I found it in Hastings. I didn't have to go through the normal Code Red BS you have to go through to get something from Code Red and all that. But this is how you want to see it. Whether you go this or Vinegar Syndrome, this is how you want to see it. But this one is the better looking of the two packages, I would definitely say. But about the actual film, you know how it is. It's a slasher. People are in the woods. It's a camp deal. The legend's being told. You say his name, you know, above a whisper, and then here he comes, and somebody's going to do that. So here he comes. So the next hour and a half or whatever it is, we're watching not really a strong cast of characters, not really a strong final girl. Just walk around the woods really slowly in the dark while he slowly picks them off. Not that there isn't some cool scenes to it, because there is. Madman's got that 80s charm to it, and it come during the height of the slasher craze. And if you like slashers, and I love slashers, this is definitely worth a watch. Not up there with the Friday the 13th or anything like that, but it's fun, and there's some cool gore in here. There is some minimum film damage that you just can't get rid of. It was on this transfer and with the Vinegar Syndrome transfer, where there's like some film damage, some like scratches right down the center of the screen for a couple of brief moments. But outside of that, it looks really good. It's probably not going to look better. It's a 4K scan, like I said, but it's a low-budget indie slasher that's mostly in the dark, so it looks about as good as you can expect. But still, if you're a big fan of Madman, it's got a bunch of extras on it too. I mean, I don't want to have to read everything, but it's got that documentary and all that cool stuff on it, which if you do want a more in-depth review on the film and the transfer, you can go to my website, zombiesdon'trun.net, and read my review that I posted yesterday, which features all the technical mumbo-jumbo, but it's a 4K and it's cool, and plus, like I said, it's Arrow, so and it's region-free. So if you'd rather go with this one than the Vinegar one, it looks good, and it looks good on the shelf. Wrapping it up, we have the insane zombie/infected film Nightmare City. Now, the story about this one is probably even a little bit more interesting than the movie. Not that the movie isn't good, because it's a really, really good infected movie. I won't call it zombies, but basically the master negative for this is severely damaged. And then the reverse whatever negative that they had wasn't really damaged, but it was really, really soft. If you want a comparison, think back to the Raro Blu-ray of this that we got like a couple years ago. It was kind of soft. I think it was probably done off that negative. I'm not sure. I don't know, but it looked kind of soft, so it looked kind of like that. So Arrow, they didn't know what to do with it. They didn't know really which one to go with. Either you have the one that's really not that good with the pops and the cracks and the film damage sometimes right over the screen, and it kind of blinks from two different colors a lot. They didn't know whether to go with that or just go with the one that's better but a whole lot softer, so they just went with both, which is the best way, I think, to handle a situation like that. It's like the little Mexican girl says in the taco commercial, why not both? So both of those are here in Nightmare City. The one that's got, the original master negative, yeah, it's damaged, but if you watch after a while, you kind of forget, because the movie's just that crazy. You just kind of forget that it's like that, and you just enjoy the film, which this one actually has a another reversible cover that I would almost consider flipping this for, but it's under the alternate title City of the Walking Dead, which is an interesting choice of a title, since they don't walk, they run, which means they can't be zombies. But nonetheless, if you've never seen this movie, it's this planes touching down. There's a bunch of little subplots going on with a bunch of different random characters, but like our core story is this reporter showing up at the airport. They're expecting this guy to touch down. Here comes this airplane, touches down, and then these people that look like mutated turds that sprouted legs or morph with a human just rise up out of the plane with knives and whatever they can get their hands on, running around slaughtering people. Now, they try to pass these off as zombies, but they're crazy. They slaughter people and then they eat them. So it's different, and you can't get bored with it. It's just impossible to get bored with this movie, because as soon as it's going, we're off and running with these turd-like zombie-infected creatures running around, murdering people. And if it's a hot woman, they will remove their clothes first before they kill them, and then they will try to eat them. So that's Nightmare City, buddy. This is Lamberto Lenzi. I believe I pronounced that right. Yes, Umberto Lenzi. So I did get that right. Same guy that did Cannibal Ferox. Same guy that did another Eaten Alive cannibal film. That's not to be mistaken with the Tobe Hooper film. That isn't a cannibal film. But, you know, if you've seen an Umberto Lenzi film, you know what to expect. You never get bored. It's crazy from start to finish. And like I said, yeah, there's film damage in the master negative, but it looks really, really good. And there is a lot of good features on here. This is another one that I reviewed over at the site today, and or yesterday. And it's got a lot of cool extras. You got the story of the negatives and why the film is like it is. You got a little thing with Eli Roth on there. A bunch of interviews, trailers, that cool stuff. But like I said, if you want the full list of what you can get on this disc, if you can't pause that and see, because this camera's not the best camera in the world, you can just go to zombieswillrun.net and read the written review and see that. But like I said, that's Arrow UK, not the American Arrow branch, but it is region free, so you can enjoy it at home. And it is I want to say this, and no disrespect to Arrow Video, because they're cool. You know, the Kino, I think, runs them, or at least runs the American branch of them. Not a good disc compared to this. This is a lot better. So even if you have to pay a little bit more, I think I would go that extra mile and get this over the Raro one, because the two versions is really great, because you just got really one with the Raro one. And I don't know if you remember this or not, but the Raro releases at the time had the hardest slipcases in the world to get off. I mean, like, you know, usually they're just falling off, but that Raro one, you just had to shove it and try to get it, and it was really aggravating. No aggravation here with Nightmare City from Arrow Video. So that's the 6 movies for this time. Next time we do Arrow titles. I don't know if I'll have any more UK ones in the bunch. Maybe I will, I don't know, but we will be waiting and trying to get some more of them American ones. Which, if you follow the Arrow news, and you should, they've got a really cool Hellraiser set coming out. It's like called the Scarlet Box or something like that, and it's Hellraiser 1, 2, and 3 with the Leviathan documentary and a bunch of other cool things. But it's Region B, and I don't have Region B player, so I can't play that yet. And then they've also got a really cool Deep Red box set, sort of, coming out. It's Deep Red, but it's got a lot of cool stuff with it, and a new 4K transfer on it. Again, I think that one's just Region B, so I can't watch it yet. But you know, those are things I've been debating on just picking up just because I've got a few Arrow UK titles that I can't watch that I have just because. You might remember some of the old white box things, which is really cool. But nonetheless, that's this time. And if you like the video, give it one of those thumbs up or share it or whatever you cool kids do out there. And I'll be back next time with some more stuff.